Greetings! Today we discuss our version of Chappell Roan's Hot to Go, backflip world records, and so much more on this episode of Bear Ghost Invents the Podcast!
Ahoy boogers! Welcome back. This is the 4th episode of Bear Ghost Invents the Podcast, our very cool invention that nobody had ever thought of before. This is a show where we plunge into the who's-its and what's-its galore of the inner workings of Bear Ghost. And we're here today on this glorious Thursday night to talk to you guys about Chappell Roan's Hot to Go.
BEARGHOST.
That was a bass player Do. Everybody say hi, bass player Do.
Hello, bass player Do.
And we also have drummer Buttons with us. What up? I'm Ryan. I play guitar.
Tigbot is still under maintenance.
And a lot of
that loading bar hasn't moved at all.
No,
It's still at
the
like
files
5%.
are still going over.
Yeah.
buffering. It's buffering.
It's buffering. 56K.
Hopefully he'll be
transfer.
back next week.
Yeah, what do you think, Buttons? Buttons is our resident IT gentleman.
Looks like it might be hardware related, but I'm just hoping that it's just bandwidth related.
His little arm is
Yeah,
messed
his
up.
little arm's kind of
His arm with a
limp
bunch
there.
of arms.
All the different arms he built for himself.
Yeah, that he drew abs on, but only 3 of them.
Rest in peace to a real one, Tigbot.
He's dead now.
Does he know the difference? When he comes back, is he going to understand?
Maybe when he comes back, he'll just be Tigbot 2.0.
Well-
0.9.
Or like Ultron will just be Tigtron.
Oh my gosh.
was
On his
terrible.
3rd appearance, we're going to have to start calling him Tigtron? Anybody seen Tron?
Which one?
Tron.
The original one or the new one?
Well, the original one is the one that I really fuck with.
Isn't
but-
there 3
I
of them
love
now?
the original one.
No, the 3rd one's coming out. There's a show.
Oh,
The 3rd one is they're making it, and I hope it's good.
I've seen Tron, and I saw Tron Legacy one time.
Tron Legacy, that's a snoozer.
I wasn't a fan.
I wasn't very interested.
I
I think
waited
I
in-
fell asleep in the first 10 minutes.
That dates us for sure, because Tron is one that I waited in line at the movie theater for to see, because I'm a huge fan of the 80s Tron movie.
I saw Tron for the first time in like 2012.
Was it because you were finally playing Kingdom Hearts?
No.
Because I had seen Tron, and when they announced that it was going to be in Kingdom Hearts 2, I bonked my boinker. I was so excited. I was
Should we censor that?
I didn't mean anything dirty by it. I was talking about my head. I call my head my boinker. And then everything in that game is flat as a pancake, every world. So it being Tron was not cool. Although it being the midway point of that game and its relevance to Hollow Bastion, and this is such nerdy baby bull.
Do it.
That is the best part of that game, is the whole middle part. Everything that takes place in Hollow Bastion and then having to go into the computer to be in the world of Tron, space paranoids as they call it. And the way that everything you do there affects the computer in Hollow Bastion is very, very cool.
The reason I watched Tron is because I joined one of those subscription services where you buy things in a bundle and they give them to you for super cheap, but it was for Disney movies.
Like Columbia House?
Yeah, but it was through Disney, and it was right when Blu-rays.
remember this.
Yeah, it was right when Blu-rays started being a thing, and I had a PlayStation 3 which played Blu-rays when Blu-ray players weren't even a thing yet, and they were like, order 2 movies and we'll give you 8 movies from this list for free. And so I ordered 2 movies, and one of the movies on that list was Tron.
Nice. Did you like it?
Yeah.
I think it's pretty cool. I think
Yeah, I do like it. I will say that it's one of those things that without the nostalgia of having watched it when I was a kid, I think it's just less impactful on me.
I never watched it when I was a kid. I watched
You
it when
said
I...
you waited in line at the theater for it.
I'm talking about Tron Legacy.
Oh.
It's crazy to think how recently we were still waiting in lines at theaters. Dark Knight Rises does not feel like it came out that long ago. Yet
2012.
we were on the news because we waited in line for 10 hours.
Yep.
And we brought the game of Risk, and we just played Risk 3 times in line. And then we went and saw The Dark Knight Rises.
We played 3 games in 10 hours.
Yes. Nerds. We need a nerd alert button.
Nerd alert.
This is going to show how old I am, but I didn't know Tron was a movie, but I knew because it had an arcade cabinet that I used to play.
I thought you were going to say, this is going to say how old I am. I didn't know Tron was a movie, and I didn't know what a movie was.
That's it.
When I went and saw that movie with the train coming at me.
So I thought Tron, the movie, was because of the video game. It's actually the other way around.
Is it the other way around? We don't have Tigbot
Or-
here to check for us.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Check. Can you have a computer in front of you? It's going to take a million
So
years.
Tron, yeah, 1982.
I thought you waited in line for that in 1982.
I even mentioned that it was the early
I know,
80s.
I don't
you
know
know
what I
how
was
old I
thinking.
am. I'm 2 weeks younger than you are.
Yeah.
So I didn't watch the movie until I was 11 years old.
And that was when it came out. The day it came out, right?
Yes.
Buttons was famously born in 1970.
This is a long intro.
Oh, yeah. So we haven't talked about the song at all yet. This has been Tangent City, baby. And this episode starts with a baby. My beautiful baby boy.
Ryan's child is featured on this song.
Many times, and he has not shut the up about it. He's never been more proud of anything that he's ever been able to do. And I don't know if you guys know this, but my child holds the record for most backflips on a high dive. So,
Like on a high dive or off of a high dive?
no, he was doing them on the high dive.
That's impressive. And he just didn't fall at all?
Yeah. Guess how many it was?
2.
Yeah. Most people just don't even think to do it up there.
Because the whole thing is about getting off the high
About
dive.
getting off the high dive. But he's like, fuck you, establishment.
That's the trick to get a world record, is just find something that no one even thinks matters.
My beautiful baby boy. His name is it's a nickname.
Yeah. It's a nickname for his middle name.
Yeah, we wanted him not to understand his name at all until college, which he's in now at 4 years old.
Oh, wow.
Yep, he holds the world record for backflipping on a high dive and earliest to ever attend Yale.
What's he majoring in?
Backflipping. We'll get back to him being in the song. Why on earth did we choose Hot to Go? I think it's a twisty tale.
It's crazy that this is the second cover we're releasing because it was such a late edition. It was the last edition.
When Andrew says late edition, we mean it came about between the last episode and this episode.
We were just like, this is not going to go over well. We're not going to do this song any justice. It's a very straightforward cover, except for a couple of really cool parts that you wrote.
Oh, thanks.
But it just is such a, dare I say, feminine nomenon.
Would you say feminine nomenon?
Feminine nomenon. That's the opening track on her album.
You can tell Andrew's a big fan.
I do like Chappell Roan. My wife also very much likes Chappell Roan.
Feminine nomenon. Is it Chappell? It's not Chappell?
I thought it was Chappell.
I mean, I don't actually know.
No, we could look it up. Buttons. Where is
How to
Tagbot?
pronounce?
Ladies and gentlemen, Chappell Roan.
Yeah, okay.
That's John Mulaney, by the way.
Fine, but maybe he did it wrong. I'm assuming you guys have heard
John Mulaney does nothing wrong,
but have you-
including cocaine.
Have you heard John Travolta introducing Idina Menzel? Because that is the world's greatest introduction. Somebody pull that up and put it in the microphone.
Oh, I can't believe that happened.
Put that microphone right up to that baby boy.
Here to perform the Oscar-nominated, gorgeously empowering song, Let It Go, from the Oscar-winning animated movie Frozen, please welcome the wickedly talented one and only Adele Dazeem.
He looked like he was
None of
squinting,
those
though.
vowels are in the right place, nor are any of the consonants.
Anyways, I think John Mulaney might be pulling a John Travolta, and it's Chappell Roan.
He said Chappell Roan. I'm going with John Mulaney.
Chappell Roan. Anyways, you were telling the story of how you heard of Chappell Roan.
Yeah, so
Like she's not the biggest artist in the world right now.
my wife and I actually were in Disneyland, and we decided to take a day off to go visit some friends in LA, and we were talking about some other big pop star, and it sucks that I can't remember who it was. It was either
Olivia Rodrigo.
It was probably Olivia Rodrigo, Billie Eilish, or Sabrina Carpenter or something. My friend had said, have you heard of Chappell Roan? Before I even cared about any of the music, I was just like, man, this girl can sing. Her voice is just ridiculous, but she's just exploded since then. And this song specifically,
Oh my gosh. Was that on the news? Is she her poor fans and family?
yeah, it was on stage in front of everybody.
Oh my goodness. Poor Chappell Roan exploded. And that's why she's so famous? Is that what we're getting
I
at?
guess so.
Well, this song is in loving memory to a real one. Rest in peace to a real one. Chappell Roan.
When we were on tour with the Deer Hunter, sometimes when we were tearing down, Hot to Go would be the song that was playing. And everybody in the crowd would just lose their minds. And Ryan came to me at one point and was like, we have to do this song.
Hot to Go has become like a weird anthem for me that's like a reminder of that tour because we heard it every single night as we were tearing down, as we were patting the guys from the Deer Hunter on the butt and saying, give them hell, boys. It's just such a fond memory. And then I went to go see Will Wood in Tucson, and he had Schaefer James opening for him. And Schaefer James was like, somebody mentioned that I should play this. This is a really good Schaefer James impression for those of you who know who he is. Somebody mentioned that I should play this song, and I thought tonight I would give it the old go. He started playing one of his songs, but he opened it with just like an organ and singing Hot to Go, and the place pulled a Chappell Roan and exploded. So So it was like the applause and celebration in this audience was deafening. And we have but a fraction of Will Wood's listenership, but our fans, especially our younger fans, are very much Will Wood fans most of the time.
They overlap a lot.
It became very clear to me that, oh, this is something that I definitely want to do. That Will Wood show, by the way, fans, how many of you guys went to go see that incredible Slouching Towards Bethlehem tour? I'll wait.
Damn it.
That was one of the most amazing shows that I've ever been to in a long time. But I might also be biased because I paid an extravagant amount of money for the meet and greet beforehand. And I went to go introduce myself to Will Wood. And I was like, yeah, your music really meant a lot to me. And it kind of inspired me to write these songs for my album, Jiminy. He's like, no shit, you're in Bear Ghost. And then he just started like quoting lines from Barbecue back to me, mentioning melodies that he really loved. And I was completely awestruck. Anyways, I don't know how much of this is going to make it into the podcast.
Brian
but
is crying.
I'm weeping.
weeping.
I put an H into that word, but not where you think. Weeping. So I was very happy about meeting Mr. Dubs, but what stuck with me the most was that we needed to play Hot to Go by Chappell Roan. The first time I heard Chappell Roan was my fiance and I were in Santa Barbara, and I'm a big boy who anytime I hear a song that I like, I'm like the guy who sticks my phone way up in the air to Shazam a song. I heard this song called Picture You from Chappell Roan and Cheese. And, oh, God. Anyways, the song Picture You by Chappell Roan and Cheese.
You reacted that way to your own show.
Everybody just heard me say that. Anyways, so Picture You by Chappell Roan and Cheese came on. And I immediately saved it. I thought it was a beautiful song, and that's all I knew about her until I got back and Andrew kept bringing up Chappell Roan. And the first night we heard Chappell Roan at the Deer Hunter show, Andrew was doing the dance. It's like the Macarena, but with like some hip shaking.
It's the YMCA.
Andrew's doing the Macarena right now.
This isn't the YMCA?
Like this. H-O-T-T-O-G-O. Where's the shake come in?
You can take me.
That's the Macarena part.
You're right.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
He's right.
I have no idea. So when I came to Andrew and I was like, we should cover this song, but it should be one of your picks because I don't want to get rid of any of my picks. He was very, very agreeable. And I was like, a lot of people really like it. I don't want to change too much about it. And so when we first started writing it, all the sounds and everything that I was using, that I was sampling out, I pretty much tried to make it exact. And after a bit, I was like, what am I doing? I would never pick these. They're great in the original song, like all the 80s synths and stuff, but I would never put these sounds in one of our songs. So I just kept gradually changing the parts. And then I was like, well, what would I do if this was Bear Ghost and wrote a completely different second verse that I wrote a bridge riff. Funny fact, I had been watching Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer with my son. And the Island of Misfit Toys song has a bridge where they go, toys galore scattered on the floor. And that cadence I loved so much and was like the basis for the riff in the bridge.
Oh, wow.
The do-do-do-do-do-do-day is that same like cadence, but then I brought it down. But anyways,
thank you, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
thank you, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I was immediately, I looked at my fiance and I was like, I'm going to use it. And then the next day I wrote that bridge and kind of just use it as a jumping off point.
It's hard to cover pop songs.
I think it's easier to cover pop songs because all the melodies are good. The structure is always there. And there's usually something that I can glom onto, like a motif that they use that makes like a good riff. And for any of my changes that I usually make in the second verses, it's usually pretty easy to be like, okay, well, let's just put this in a minor key and then throw a bunch of diminished chords in there. Not to like be reductive about what it is that we do, but this song, it kept coming together like really honestly and easy. I was really appreciative of that. And almost all the pop songs that we've covered have been the ones that are the easiest for me to do. Like, they'll never be on this podcast, but we did Bye 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 by NSYNC. We did
Backstreet's Back.
Backstreet's Back. They all just like flew together, in my opinion.
Yeah,
So
well, I didn't necessarily mean that it's hard to come up with what you do. It's just you're taking something that's so easily recognizable and you want to make it recognizable, but it just feels like we're just doing like a lamer version of that song.
kind of. I do definitely agree with you actually thinking about when you're doing a song that's so huge, you want to keep all the stuff that people like about it, and not change it too much. And then you also don't want to just be the band that does just like the power chords. You want to keep it interesting. I think the original song is so good, but I started it off the same way and I kept the same verse the same way. And all I had was a different bridge and final chorus. My ear just led me to where I felt like the song needed to go. I had a lot of fun working on it.
I was checking our TikTok and people were tagging us. They're like, I hope they play Hot to Go. And then the next person's like, we're at a Bear Ghost concert.
Dude, I'm missing out on all of this awesome internet Bear Ghost content.
Yeah, so am I now, though.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't been on the TikTok in months now, but
I literally deleted all of my social media except Facebook Messenger because there's people I talk to on there that I don't talk to otherwise.
Does Facebook Messenger count as like a social media?
no, it's a
It doesn't
messaging platform.
Yeah, it's a messaging platform.
Yeah, it's a messaging platform. There's not like a news feed or like a
Yeah, you're not doom
you're not
scrolling.
seeing
you're not,
people's
yeah.
posts and stuff like that.
I also don't have social media, and I highly recommend it out there to people. Not
Oh,
to
yeah.
sound like an old curmudgeon, but I mean, all the data out there shows that it's rotting your mental health. So
It was a hard sever for me. One day I was talking to my wife and she's just like, you just scroll and scroll and scroll and you just get more and more angry or more and more sad. And I was just like, you're right. And I literally that second just deleted everything off my phone.
it's freeing.
That's amazing.
It was so good.
I scroll through YouTube. I'm always trying to figure out, how do I play this character better? How do I get more kills?
Buttons is both a method actor and a murderer.
An assassin.
Sorry, an assassin.
Show some respect.
A thespian. How do I play this character better? And how do I assassinate people better? Let's talk about Chappell Roan.
It blows me away every time I listen to her, and even more so when I see live videos of her, how good she is, how much control of her voice she has.
I keep hearing rumbles, I guess, that she's like friends with Olivia Rodrigo and just thrown on a tour.
From what I understand, this could be completely wrong, so I apologize to any hardcore fans out there, is that she was either friends with or connected to Olivia Rodrigo by a friend, and Olivia Rodrigo went on her world tour when Guts was blowing up, and Chappell Roan was the opener, and that's what blew her up. That's when she exploded. I wish I'd stop using that metaphor.
Again, we're here today to honor a pile of guts. Chappell Roan, R.I.P. to a real one.
That's why it was called the Guts tour.
Speaking of the Guts tour, how do we feel about Olivia Rodrigo?
You know, I think she's great.
But
I don't want to be controversial here.
uh-oh.
No, I don't have any problem with her.
Okay, Andrew thinks that she's great, and he thinks that vaccines are causing autism.
I think she's really great. She has a lyrical style that I personally don't like.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else I'm trying to
Is it
think
that
of.
sometimes she swears and it feels like it was shoehorned into the song?
I mean, that is some part of it. I remember when we saw Frozen for the first time.
Oh, there he goes.
And everybody was just like, oh man, Frozen is so great and the soundtrack is so great. And I remember listening to it and just being like, there's so many lyrical choices in the soundtrack that I'm just like, what are you doing? And that carried over to Frozen 2 also. Whereas someone who writes lyrics and like meticulously tries to go through them and be like, this sounds stupid. This sounds
is
forced,
clunky.
yeah. When I hear that in other songs, it bothers me. And she has a lot of lyrics that come off clunky to me. And when people show me something by Olivia Rodrigo and they're like, isn't this good? I'm like, yeah, it's good, but I don't like this lyrical choice or the cadence in which she's saying this thing.
I feel like I find that a lot more in her like super upbeat poppy stuff. But
It's such a nitpicky thing for me to be.
in her more, I guess it's not super somber, but Vampire is, I think, an excellent song. I don't even care that it's just using, the creep chord progression. I just love every single melody in that song. I love what that song does. But in a lot of her just like stripped back, like just piano songs or whatever off that record Guts, I think that she's really great. I love it when I find like a mainstream pop artist that I think is just doing cool stuff.
Yeah, I got nothing bad to say about Vampire. That song's great.
Oh, we wrote Rivers before I heard that song. I just wanted
Yes.
everybody to know. And I didn't write it to have a cool vampire song.
We also wrote Rivers before we knew who Weezer was. I don't know where it came from, if it is actually supposed to be this, but I know that when we were listening to this song and kind of analyzing it, we had come up with this thing where it feels almost like facetious. Like it was this scathing critique of the way that women feel that men look at them. And everything I looked up about the song, I couldn't find anything where she specifically said that's what it was about. But I took it that way, and I really like that as a concept.
Yeah, I thought that too when listening to it. There's this way that certain men approach women in the concepts of trying to pick them up that's just like, I'm so good for you and I'll do all this stuff for you. And
Very cocky, arrogant.
Yeah, and the women most of the time don't want anything to do with people like that. But it feels to me like she's writing it from this perspective of like, oh my gosh, you're so right. I'm so glad that you noticed me. Thank you so much for...
Like it's sarcastic response. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, it's all tongue in cheek, but from the song's perspective, is like super sincerely. And so I thought it would be fun when we did this song to be like those pathetic dudes. Please, I did write this song that's so you would sleep with me. And you know what I mean? Like,
Well, yeah, and that's why we did the whole bridge frantic screaming, because it was supposed to be that desperation.
the bridge part is another example of one of these things where I want something out of Andrew, so I don't tell him that he's going to do it. So I knew from the
I get in
moment
my head and I ruin everything.
Yeah, I knew from the moment I wrote that bridge that I wanted Andrew to just like frantically scream it. So I didn't tell him until he was literally in the recording booth, and he knocked it out of the park. He did 3 takes and and gave me literally exactly what I wanted. So that was pretty awesome.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
That is.
You
I
want to
feel
give
like
me a kiss?
6 full minutes later.
I've been drinking Diet Dr. Pepper.
I could taste the doctor.
And again, I don't know if that was her intention, because I couldn't find anything about that being her intention. Most of the stuff I saw was about how when she was younger, she wanted to be a cheerleader and she wanted to write a cheerleading song, and this just kind of came about. But I can't hear it otherwise. Like in my head canon, that's what it is. And I really liked the idea of us flipping that on its head.
Yeah.
And you had some ideas for us to double down on that, and I kind of pushed back on them because I was like, I don't know that this is what this song's actually
That's
about. And I don't
true.
want it to come off like
Yeah, I wanted to start the intro off with a skit where the women were like doing the 5, 6, and then we come in and be like, no, we'll handle this. We can count better, and then we fuck up the counting, and then the song just starts without us.
Yeah.
Like I kind of wanted to do
oh,
that.
we're all stumbling over each other.
Yeah, pretty much to impress these women. It would have been cool, but instead we just started it off with my 4-year-old.
And your 4-year-old did fantastic.
Oh, he did awesome.
Nailed it, yeah.
After watching my fiance and Andrew's wife do a bunch of takes in the music room in my bedroom, right away was just like, I want to do some. And I was like, okay, you got this, buddy. So I gave him the microphone. He looked so serious and he just screamed hot to go. And then he did 3 lighter takes after that. But I didn't give him any direction. He just did what he thought everybody else was
nice.
doing. I timed him out a little bit and stuff like
He's
that.
a natural.
So he wants to show everybody this song. It's the only thing that he sings. And he came back into the studio the other day and he wanted to record more hot to goes. And on the way to the studio, apparently he just kept telling my fiance, he was just like, Mommy, he needs my hot to go.
Your son's going to grow up to be such an arrogant jerk.
Yeah, he's a little prick. Anyways, I gave my fiance a real nice compliment in front of him. And then he snuck in from the doorway and he goes, Daddy. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, do I also have a killer booty? Speaking of recording the song, I woke up the morning to go into the studio in the song and I was like, man, my throat hurts and all of my body is achy, but I hadn't really slept particularly well. And so we were in the studio and my voice was just like shredded. So if the vocals don't sound particularly like me, it's because I was not doing well. After we went home, I was telling my fiance that my voice hurt and stuff like that. And so she took my temperature and I had a fever of 199 degrees.
Oh.
And no, but I was at like 100.
You're doing it.
Yeah, I was at like 102 and pretty insane. If you think my voice sounds like shit, that means you're a jerk. Because I was a sick boy and turned in a sick performance. I mean, we mentioned it earlier, but we had the WAFs doing the hot to goes. I think that they did a really good job. Everybody give a round of applause for them. I'll wait.
My wife was remarkably excited to be part of that song.
Oh yeah, I mentioned her reaction to the song in a previous episode. How Andrew wouldn't give me any feedback on the track, but his wife was really excited about it.
And then when he reached out to my wife to be like, hey, can you have Andrew answer me? All I said was my wife's really excited.
Salutations. I'm John Mayer, but not that one. Since apparently we're just making up rules now, I'm asking for your vote to be mayor of everything. You want change? You got it. Or don't got it. Who cares? Obviously, I am a fully grown man, and I will be the most fully grown mayor of all time. I will cut through the red tape and bureaucracy and deliver on real American necessities. What kind of taxi do you want? I can probably do that, and I will bring dinosaurs back. My dad says they're gone forever, but he's an old man. I'll show him. I'll show all of you. The election is tomorrow after nap time. My adult wife made cookies. Remember, vote mayor for mayor.
Paid for by the Macho Mr. Muscular Mayor for Mayor Monster Trucks pack.
I'm Don Mayer, and I approve this message.
Well, I think that's everything about Hot to Go. Let us know what you think. But before we go, I'm sure there's more questions that Andrew has from this Discord platform.
Oh, there are plenty of questions, and hopefully ones that are a lot less dumb. You know what? We'll start with the dumb one just to break the ice here. If you could transform into any non-sentient kitchen appliance, which one would you choose?
Toaster. I watched Brave Little Toaster, and I thought that was my favorite movie.
Yeah, but that's a sentient toaster.
Yeah, I know, but I would just be a toaster.
What value is to be gained from a question like this?
Curiosity.
Yes, but I can't give a funny answer. What's the funniest kitchen appliance? An egg beater?
Yeah, sure.
I'll be an egg beater.
No, I changed my answer. It's my my air fryer.
His specifically.
Your specific air fryer.
I don't know if you
my
guys have
specific
met
air fryer.
Buttons' air fryer, but he's a hoot.
Air fryer. Final answer.
I wish people could hear you like pumping your
What about
eyebrows.
you, Do?
You know, the non-funny answer I would give is to be a dishwasher because they're so useful.
You wouldn't care about being useful though, as a non-sentient appliance.
I would like to be a potato peeler.
I don't
That's not an appliance though. That's
It's a utility.
A utensil.
Utensil, sorry. What did I say?
A utility.
can't beat egg beater. I'm sorry.
It's too funny, dude.
Let's find another question here that actually makes. Yeah, this one's actually relevant. How excited were you guys when you found out you reached the goal of the podcast Kickstarter in 24 hours?
Oh my gosh. I literally could not have been more excited. It's a weird thing when you achieve something and you're in a state of bewilderment, but you have to go and like make content right away. You know, I was working my day job where I'm clearly a very cool person and had to like stop and film something to thank everybody. And it feels unnatural because it is. I hope that I was able to get across the gratitude. It feels like it came out of nowhere and it still hasn't really sunk in.
And we're just so incredibly grateful for it.
Yeah. And reaching that goal so quickly, I felt like we set like a modest goal that I thought would take a month to reach. So 24 hours was pretty bizarre.
It was insane.
And we thank you all, by the way.
Yeah, it's with your money that we are wasting your time right now with this podcast. So thank you so much. Let's get one more question, and then we'll go to the ending of this podcast.
What voice training has Ryan gone through? And any tips for expanding into that crazy high range?
So...
Genetics? No, I'm just kidding.
No.
He worked for this.
No, he did.
I definitely fell into being a singer. Andrew and I had an old band, and we had a singer in that band. I was not a vocalist, and we fired him. We had a series of auditions, but we had a show coming up, and we hadn't found a new vocalist. So everyone was just kind of like, you do it. And actually, Andrew and I split vocal duties for that show. Then when we started Bear Ghost, I kind of just kept going. But I think you can hear it in the Parents EP, and even to an extent in Blasterpiece, that I'm not a very accomplished singer. It's literally been work, man. It's literally been work. It's been singing every day, doing your warm-ups. I went to a vocal coach. He helped me to learn where to sing from and how to use my breath support. The range, that almost all of that is just being able to support myself from my poop muscles, as David Draymond of Disturbed would say. That's a real story. And if you ever meet him, ask him where he sings from.
But don't tell him about what we said about him in the last podcast.
Don't tell him that. Tell him that Bear Ghost loves him and we would like him to give us $20. Some people are naturally gifted at singing, and that person was not me. And I genuinely feel like all of my growth has happened in like the last 4 years. So if you start and you're disheartened, you can do it. As long as you're not tone deaf, because some people genuinely just can't hear pitch, you can do it. I really, really mean that, because I was not a good singer. Some might argue I'm still not. Me, I would argue that.
You do, constantly.
What about you, Do? You also went to a vocal coach. How do you feel like your vocals have gotten better?
I don't like my voice at all. Whenever I hear myself recorded, I don't like it. I don't like my voice. I think my voice is boring and plain. That's why I do backup vocals. I don't mind that because I can go in there and I can hit notes.
Yeah, fine. Andrew is extremely consistent with his pitch in the studio. It's amazing.
But I don't like the way my voice sounds, and I guess my voice really shines in a very small range, in the baritone range, and most of our stuff is not there.
Even when I wasn't a good singer, I was able to like hit high notes. I don't know why.
That's what I meant about the genetics. When I first met you, I'm like, dude, this guy has pipes.
What's true is,
like,
I mean,
what the hell? Like,
what's crazy about what you just said is that I genuinely just felt like I couldn't sing back then, you know?
Oh, so you were just whipping it. You were just like, like.
Oh man. And it took like the reason I started taking vocal lessons was because I couldn't hit the lines in 12 Years Howled anymore in the last chorus. I just couldn't hit them live.
Didn't you record those tracks sick also?
I did. Everything from Parents I was sick on. I think it's really obvious in Dotab. I'm so embarrassed about my vocal performance in Dotab. I
haven't heard it in so long.
Yeah, I won't listen to that. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. We've got another instrumental coming out for you next week. Next week, I think, is... Sirens. Ooh.
Got a lot to say about that one.
Oh my gosh.
That's going to be a juicy
I've
one.
forgotten more about Sirens. Anyways, we love you guys. Remember that we didn't start the fire. It was always burning since the world's been turning. Are those lyrics?
Probably.
Sounds right to me.
Good night.
Bye.
And in case I don't see you, good evening. Bye. Hey friends, thanks for listening. Special thanks to our Kickstarter backers. Join us next week where we'll be talking about Sirens. See you then.